Yeah, fair drink 'em.
G'day everyone. It's episode 2 of Interview with a Homebrewer. And I'm joined by Pierre
Hello.
from Simple HomeBrew. First of all, thank you for joining me today on this glorious Sunday. I don't know about the weather down where you are, but up here on the Central Coast, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's wonderful weather today for, some brews and some chinwags. How's the weather down there?
It's cold. No, it's not. It's 24, 25, raining. We've had some 30 odd degree days for the last few days, and it's been a good welcome break for a sec or two.
Yeah. Well, yeah, given as you said 30 degrees down to 24, that's definitely a welcome change. So obviously, before we get stuck into it, I just noticed you had a sip. What are you currently drinking? And is it one of your own brew creations?
No, it's not a creation that I made, but it's an all grain that I made from Kegland. And it
Mm-hmm.
was an all grain that I bought as a kit. And I brewed that about 3, 4 weeks ago, maybe longer actually, a while
Mm-hmm.
back. And it's a pulp addiction beer that I really enjoy drinking.
Okay.
It's going to stick around for a while, I think.
Yeah, nice. Well, obviously you've got a video up of that over on your YouTube channel. So anyone that's listening and or watching this once this episode is up, the link will be in the description to that video. Rightio. So my
Yeah.
first question for you is, what's your earliest memory of homebrew?
Yeah, to make me I had to think about that. I I'm a 56-year-old bloke, right?
Mm-hmm.
A grandfather. So you got to think about this. 1988, 89,
Okay.
something like that, even earlier, I think. I was living with a bloke who liked brewing beer,
Mm-hmm.
and he got a kit, brewed it, and it was the worst beer I've ever tasted. And
Well, back then there wasn't really much to do for brewing, sort of
well, that's
thing. Just
right.
kit and sugar, and that was about it, sort of thing.
Oh, I loved it. It was great. We had a ball with that, and he's not a mate now, but it was a good memory. Good memory.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was. That's my oldest living memory of doing any kind of brewing. So yeah,
that's awesome. And was that when you first gave homebrewing a crack, or was it after seeing that you decided, you know what, I'll give it a go?
yeah. That was after seeing that.
Okay.
He did it. He had all these ideas in his head, and it was awful. And and I 35 years later, I actually said to my daughter, I'm interested in doing some beers, and I like this craft idea. And that's where it started, basically.
Okay. And
Thanks.
speaking of the craft brewing and homebrew, home craft brewing, etc. Pardon me. What is your beer style of choice, first of all? And what is your favorite beer style to drink? As in
I
choice
love
to
a good
brew, I
IPA.
mean. A good IPA, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good IPAs. Lots of hops, citrusy.
Do you
I
have a
do like
favorite
that
hops or a
hazy.
favorite hops combo that you like to do?
I still like Galaxy,
Yeah, it's
and
always a
I
winner.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't brewed with Galaxy for a while, and Citra are good
Yeah.
too that I really like.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
citrus.
I asked Gavin this recently because I've got a group chat called the Homebrew Brains Trust with some blokes I've met across all different homebrew groups, and they're really knowledgeable. And a lot of them actually have a hop that they hate. One hates Sabro, another one
Ah,
hates Amarillo. So my next question for you ties in with your favorite. So now, what is your least favorite or your most hated hops that you don't like using for whatever reason,
yeah. I
if
really
there is
don't.
one?
I don't think I have one. They all have their own individual flavors. They have their own nuances. They have their own uh, areas that they need to be placed in. And basically, hops have their what do you call it? Their beer style, I
Yeah,
suppose. So I think probably the worst hop was Melba that
yeah,
I've ever
I'd
tried.
agree with that. Melba's not too great.
No, and
It's not it's
it's
not
even
awful, don't get me wrong, but
no,
if it's put in the wrong style of brew, it can definitely be not great.
yeah, yeah. So it had a bit of a like an off dirty flavor to it or a
Yeah,
rotten cloth flavor to it. And I obviously didn't use it right at the time. So one day I'll experiment a bit more.
fair enough. And tangenting back into your early days or your first craft brewing, what style of beer was your first brew and how did it turn out? If you
Oh,
remember.
okay. No, yeah, I did some thinking about this because I was watching you and Gavin having a talk, and I thought that was great. So I love doing this.
Oh, thank you.
Um, it was a Diablo by Mr. Beer.
Ooh,
My daughter
very
bought me a
nice.
kit, and she threw that at me and said, "Hey, Dad, Happy Father's Day." I went, "Oh crap! I'm going to do a beer. Okay.
Yeah.
And I pulled it apart, had the bottles in it, had everything in it. And it was a Diablo. Basically, it turned out all right, actually, for
Yeah.
what it
Okay.
was. For the amateur I am, or was at the time,
Hmm.
it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So there you go.
No, that's awesome to hear. And obviously, you are also a homebrew content creator, such as
Yep.
myself and Gavin, etc. What was the
Yeah.
reason and the inspiration behind starting your homebrew content?
Wow. That's a good question, actually. I always like filming stuff, doing family videos and things like that, and I like filming, like editing. And when my daughter brought this beer kit around, she looked at me and I said, "You know what? I've been wanting to do YouTube. And I think I might film my journey through learning how to brew."
Yep.
And it hasn't stopped. I'm still very amateur and still need to learn a lot. And the inspiration was my daughter giving me this kit and saying, "Hey, Dad, have a go. See how you go." And yeah, it's just awesome. That's it. That's
Nice.
all I like. That's what I do.
Nice. So your first brew was the a Diablo. So what is
Yep.
your most recent brew that you've done?
Oh, it was the oatmeal stout. This one
Okay.
here.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have one to show and what does it taste like for you and what's the ABV?
I haven't calculated that yet. I
Oh,
just
okay.
kegged it and measured
Hmm.
it. It was 10.0, 1.066 starting
Hmm.
gravity, and the finishing gravity was over there on the actual thing. Here, I'll show you.
I'll quickly, if you want, I can do the quick calculations for you.
Yeah,
1.066. And what's the final gravity, if you know?
I believe if you can see it, you probably
Hmm.
can't. It's 10.015.
0.015. Right. So the ABV is 6.69%.
Holy crap.
Give us a taste. Give us a live first tasting, you could say.
Well, yeah, I've done a tasting on my video already. I've actually made the video for it. That's going to
Okay.
be edited and
Yep.
put up next week. Um,
Well, give
it's
us a
quite
quick
nice.
sneak peek preview then.
um, it, Funny enough, I kegged it, popped it in the glass, drank it, and went, "This is going to taste crap. It's only just come out of the fermenter.
Yep.
I've got to let it age a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks at least, and see how it goes." And
Sometimes
then
stouts provide the goods from the get go. Not all the time,
it,
but sometimes.
this is one of them. This
Mm.
is beautiful. It smells really nice. It
Hmm.
smells factory, would
Yep.
commercial.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it has a little bit of a bitterness, sweetness. It's just perfect. I really
Mm.
like it. It's
You're making
very,
my
very
taste
nice.
buds tingle because my favorite style is a stout, and oh, yum! But obviously, it's a very hot day today, so I'm steering clear of a cold stout today. Um, so my next question for you is, what keeps you motivated to keep on brewing?
What keeps me motivated? The fact that I like the beer. I think that's what does. Definitely making videos as well, doing it is a huge motivation. And of course, I've got Patreon members who support the channel,
Mhm.
and I want to be able to put out content for those guys. Uh, but beer being a constant learning curve
Absolutely.
is where it comes from. So I'm one of those people who need to be stimulated in the
Yes.
mind,
Yep.
and I need to learn things all the time. If I don't, I get bored. So
Absolutely
luckily,
the same.
making beer is so much
Always so
differences.
much to learn.
Yeah, yeah, and you never learn everything. You will never learn unless you go to school, which I didn't.
Fair.
So,
And so my next question actually ties in perfectly with that. And what was the biggest mistake you've made in your brewing journey? It could be from a brew or a
yeah.
forum or, something that you thought would work out in theory but didn't pan out in practicality, etc.
Well, actually, most beers I make is from recipes. So the recipes
Okay.
come out from, pardon me, about to burp. Sorry,
All good.
sorry. Camera's in a hat, so it's
Yep.
obviously going to be pretty loud.
All good. I'll edit that out. No problem.
Oh, okay. um, with my brewing, the biggest mistake is my clumsiness. I am very clumsy.
Mhm.
So a lot of my first early brews, I did a brew in a bucket fermenter and with a tap on the front. And I did it in a bedroom. I had a bedroom where I used to brew in, and the bucket fermenter was sitting on a carpet, just resting, and I was fermenting and having a good go at it. Walked into the bedroom one day and stood on the tap. Forgot, didn't even know I did it.
Oh,
Walked
no.
out, and I said to the wife about a day later, I said, "What's that smell?" And she goes, "Oh, there's something in your bedroom. Oh, I haven't gone in there, I haven't been game." Opened the door, and it was all over the carpet. And I'm still paying for that today. It's still
Wow.
stain the carpet, it's on the concrete. It's just horrible. That is my biggest mistake.
Wow, that's
Never put
that
anything on the floor.
that's a horror story as well. So biggest mistake, but also biggest learning curve is never put anything on the floor. Absolutely agreed. Unless it's outside, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
wow. And so we've covered your favorite style of beer to drink, IPA. And is that the same for to brew? Do you prefer IPAs, or is it you'll give anything a go?
I'll give anything a go. I look forward to IPAs. When I do a brew in an IPA, it's always, uh, I haven't had a really bad IPA, to be
Yeah.
honest. There's one I tipped out a while back that became highly oxidized. And ever since then, I haven't actually made a beer that I didn't like drinking at the moment. And IPAs seem to cover a lot of bad flavors that I think, anyway, in my lack of skill, of course.
No, that's
But
fair.
yeah,
Yeah, you
you
go.
know, no, really good, really good.
That's awesome. I'm very much the same. My favorite style to drink is a stout. I could drink that. I've got one on tap always in the
Yeah,
kegerator. But I won't say no to a hazy or an IPA because the flavor profiles are so limitless. And like yourself, you know, needing to have the stimulation in the mind to be able to do something, I'm constantly coming up with ideas. So my next question is obviously, everyone doesn't has their favorite beer style to drink, etc. So, what's your go-to commercial beer at a pub? Like, if you're at a pub with mates and there's no Bolter, no Stone and Wood on tap, what's your
yeah.
commercial go-to?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I became interested in IPAs because of this beer, which is Fat Yak.
Yeah, Fat Yak's very
I
good.
Yeah, went to Sydney and it was on tap. And I said, what beer do you think I should drink? I haven't started drinking beer much. Give you an idea. I haven't drank alcohol until I was about 40, 45 years old.
Oh wow,
Give you an idea. Yeah. So I never tried anything really. So they threw this Fat Yak at me and I was like, holy crap. There's
this is
something in
delicious.
this I like. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's where I sort of thought, yeah, wow, I want to do more IPAs. These are great. And it's
I
kind of
don't
an
blame you.
IPA.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so my next question for you and topic is: what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given about home brewing?
Oh, I guess something I learned in about 2 years ago, or maybe three. I was wondering why extract, because I do a lot of extract brewing, and I wondered why my extracts always tasted a bit homebrewish, and I couldn't figure it out. It took me ages, and I spoke to a few people, and they said, "Check your water," and I went, "Okay, what am I checking? Where are you getting the water from?" And I said, "Just from the tap. It says on the bottle you can just use tap water." And they
Yep,
said, "Stop right there."
yep,
They said, "You've got chlorine and chloramine in your systems. Most countries do. Most
yep.
first world countries do anyway. You need to get rid of it, basically." And I use a half a Camden tablet in all my 23-liter batches, and that has improved my flavor profile tenfold.
Yep.
It is palatable and it makes my beer so much better tasting. It just neutralizes the chemicals they put in to kill the bacteria in the water. I also use a carbon filter as well through my water system when nowadays, so it's always
So it's
much
getting a
cleaner
double
than tap
whammy
water.
in it, the Campton
Yeah,
and the carbon filter. Yeah.
yeah, because they say that it doesn't remove all the chlorine and chloramine. We can get rid of chlorine by leaving it for 24 hours on a bench somewhere in a pot, but you can't get rid of the chloramine. That just won't go.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's fair. That's really interesting. And that ties into the next question is what are
yeah.
three pieces of advice that you would give to new and or fresh homebrewers?
Wow. uh, Make sure your gear's clean. Everything has to be clean.
Not just sanitized, but also clean as well.
Yeah. Cleaning is the biggest bit. When I first started brewing, a lot of videos I watched, like Craig Tube, which you probably don't know about Craig Tube. He's disappeared, sort of thing now. He was one of the biggest tubers or brew tubers around, and he
Hmm.
just sort of died off. Anyway, he said it's all right if you got a bit of something on the surface. If you use
It's not.
sanitizer, it'll kill it. It's not all right, no. So make sure you are super clean. Get rid of all the crap on it. Look, if you don't use sanitizer and you are really clean, I mean, sanitizer is the best way to go. You kill anything that may be left over, but super clean. Make sure everything's super clean. That's the biggest thing. And that seems to work for me. I've never really had much of a contaminated beer. probably once, and that was the one I tipped out. I did a video on that anyway. So yeah, super clean. What else did I think of? When you, I guess the Camden tablet thing, we talked about that.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb to do.
It
Like
is.
it should be always rule of thumb for myself. A rule of thumb that I'll always tell everyone is even if you're doing a brew that you only expect to have a starting gravity of, 1.040, 2 packets of yeast minimum as a rule of thumb, in my opinion, because otherwise you're making the one packet work way harder than it needs to. Obviously, as you get further along with a higher starting gravity, then maybe 3, 4, etc. But always a rule of thumb use 2. That's one that I would absolutely give to anyone as that piece of advice. So I definitely agree that Campton tablets. Please continue with that one.
Camden tablets. What is it? Sorbate? What is it? What's the chemical in Camden?
Oh, I can't remember, but
Um,
I know the one you're talking about. You know what? I'll Google it while
Sulfites or something like that.
while you're talking about it.
Yeah, do that. Um, it is poisonous to us, to be honest. Just be careful with that. If you take a teaspoon or
Sodium
half a teaspoon,
metabisulfite.
that's it, sodium metabisulfite. Yeah. It attacks or neutralizes the chlorine and it just makes it so much better. Look, it's you got to be. Um, I believe you need to be minimalist on how much you use because it can be harmful to the human
Yep.
metabolism, the body. So be really, really minimal with it, but use what you need. Don't use too much, because it kills kills yeast as well. So you got to
Yep.
be careful there. And they use that a lot in wine making as well. They use stuff to kill yeast, which is metabisulfite. So
Yep. And that's to stop the fermenting at certain
yeah,
points of the
yeah,
fermentation.
yeah. That's the halt it straight away. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
and
you've
somewhat. Sorry,
no,
what do you call it? Um, preserve the
yes.
wine as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've said the Camden tablets. You've said
Yep.
the clean, not just sanitized,
Yep.
but also clean. What would be the third piece of advice?
Temperature. If you're going to brew, make sure you got a constant temperature. Look at your packet of yeast, and like you said, I've learned just recently to need more yeast or better yeast or
Not necessarily better. Just always go with 2 as a rule of thumb is what I've done.
yeah, yeah, which works, and it does. I only had one yeast for this thing. It worked.
Hey,
It
still
did the
turned out
job.
Ripper though.
It still turned out all right. Yeah, yeah. I have never done a yeast starter. A lot of people talk about that. Well, sorry, I'm going off tap here.
That's okay.
Temperatures. I've got a fridge that I bought from Aldi, which is brand new, and at the time, and it's about 5 years old now. And it's an upright fridge that can take a fermenter, and it keeps the temperature pretty constant. So you do a lager. I don't do lagers, but you do a lager. You want to keep that at about 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, I believe, um, and then bring it up and down a little bit just to
Yeah,
ferment it properly and clean it up. And you can do that with a fridge rather than
absolutely.
leaving it out in the open and trying to control it.
Especially with the
And
temperature controller.
yeah, yeah. I mean, people buy fridges. People put them out the front lawn thinking they're not working. You can get one off someone's front lawn, chuck it in your trailer, take it home, maybe spend 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks for parts to fix it.
Hmm.
And you get yourself a fermentation fridge.
I'm exactly the same.
It's
I
just,
found one for $50 on Marketplace, so close to more or less the exact same, very cheap as chips, and I already had a temperature controller just waiting, literally lying around in the house.
yeah, that's the way to do it. If you have too high temperatures, you can destroy your yeast, cause a lot of bad flavors. You have too low a temperature, your yeast won't produce or won't do anything. So, yeah, make sure your temperature's constant and right, correct for the yeast you're using or type of yeast you're using.
Oh,
That's about it, I
absolutely.
think.
No, that's
Yeah,
fair.
then the main things, yeah.
Yeah, and before we
And
get into the last question,
yeah,
we've been obviously going through a bit of your memories and what
right.
your biggest mistake, your earliest memory of the brewing. So, what's your favorite memory or your personal highlight or achievement of your homebrew journey so far?
Favorite memory. I don't know. When I had a couple of people over, if you have ever watched my channel, I've never gone into competition, never showed anybody my beers, never shared it with many people. I do give people wine and some beer sometimes, every now and again.
Mhm.
But I've got a couple of guys who are brewers as well. They quietly do it in their own house and
Oh, so they're
they
homebrewers as
contact me.
well.
They are, yeah.
Yep.
And they said, I've been watching your videos. You want to send me a couple of bottles? And I threw them a couple of bottles. And they came back to me and said, these are bloody awesome. You need to go on competition. And I just went, wow, I didn't think my beers are that good or good enough. And I think if you're going to brew beer, you need to brew beer that you like.
Yep.
And don't worry about what everybody else says. Sorry, but I mean, it's good to have that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but brewing a beer, a good beer is a good beer that you like to brew or drink.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter
I,
how bad or good it is, it's a good beer. Doesn't matter.
No, that's awesome. My thoughts are very similar in the sense of, um, brew beer that you want to drink, but also during that fermentation journey, and once it's kegged and whatnot, if you wouldn't like offer it to a mate that comes over, then it's not good enough, in my opinion. As in, it's good enough even if I have to waste the whole keg. I know that sounds sacrilege because it can be expensive to homebrew, but sometimes if I don't think I'd give this to my next door neighbor who comes over for beer o'clock once a week for a few hours, we have a few bevies.
Oh, good on you.
I wouldn't I will then just chuck out the keg straight up and I'll just redo a whole new batch. But that's the luxury of having 4 taps in the kegerator. It's I've got 4 kegs, so if one's not right, I've got time, sort of thing. But no, that's very interesting to hear, Pierre. And my final question is, what's next for you and for Simple Homebrew?
Pardon me. I have 4 videos I'm doing at the moment. I'm working on. I'm still going to go out and about. If you guys haven't seen my channel,
Yep.
I'm sure
I will
CJ will put
absolutely.
a little link
I'll
up here.
pop the little link up here and in the description as well. Yep.
Yeah, no worries. I've got an out and about video happening. That's going to start again. I've just been traveling overseas and coming back recently just to finish up my brewing videos. I've got an oatmeal stout that I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
which is this one from Keg King.
Yep.
And that is great. I'm just drinking it and I'm a bit blotto at the moment, a bit tipsy. I shouldn't be.
We
I've
love
been
that.
drinking it too quick. And I've got a wine video coming up, which I do wine. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
guys or CJ, if
No,
you know.
I'll definitely feature that link, and I did know that, but not everyone does. So I'll definitely feature that link, in a post for everyone to view that.
Yeah, no worries. What was the other one? I've got three, four, two, three. I've got one more. What is it? Oh, I'm doing how-to videos. I'm going to start really working on how to use brewing products videos, and
Okay,
that's coming up very soon too. Sort of
that's a
working hard on
that's
that.
a great ending because I'm actually going to ask because I thought of the question, but that help ties in with it, and it's what's your favorite piece of equipment in your brew shed, for lack of a better term? It could be something as small as a hydrometer, or it could be as big as the
Yeah.
igulu that you've got in the background.
Hang on, I'll be back. Hang on.
Yes, go
Won't
for
be
it.
sec.
Oh no, we can see the camera moved around. What is
Oh yeah,
this?
yeah. See what
Yep.
bloody camera. Now people have been ridiculing this product for a while. I think there's a bit of bias between 2 companies. I'm not going to mention the companies who they are. They'll know once they see the product.
Yep.
I think with companies out there, there's too much. Look, I work in retail, and
Yep.
if I badmouth one company and that company badmouths my company, it's bad practice. It's
Yep.
also
It leaves a bad
unprofessional.
taste in your mouth as well. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I've got a product that these guys made. Actually, there's 2 that I really
Yes, go
enjoy
for it. Grab
using.
the other one if you can find it. Yep, just up there. Yep.
Yep. Um, now, back, hang on. I've got the hose to get to.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no problem. No dramas at all.
Right. Now, so
Yep.
this is one company. A lot of people are bad mouthing because another company was. It's hard. It's really hard. But anyway, someone's going to know, and they're going to know what it is as soon as I show it, which is this.
Okay.
People
Is that
don't
a
like
spun? Is that a spunding valve?
yeah,
Similar? Yep.
it's called a spundy.
Yep.
Basically, it is minute. Look, it's compact, easy to
Yep.
use. The first version they
It
made
looks like low
works really
profile
well.
as well, which looks great for a
It's
kegerator if you've got
tiny.
shelves in it.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah. And that's ball lock, of course.
I love. Yep, it is. Of course,
Yep.
it works really well. Only look, the first version they use works on everything. The
Mm-hmm.
second version they use doesn't work on every company's ball lock
Okay, so the second
or
one isn't
quick.
universal. Maybe that's where the people are getting a bit disgruntled, maybe.
That's right, and I
Yep.
think that's because of two companies fighting against each other, and they should be working together. And
Yes.
look, I've been supported by both companies myself here in this channel,
Hmm.
and I believe I don't want to support people being unprofessional like that. And
Of
it's
course.
I don't need the
So
money.
you've got the Spundy valve. Yep.
Yeah, and also a quickie, what they call. Sorry, I'm spitting.
No,
A
that's okay.
quickie.
Yep.
A quickie is a this product here. If you can
Okay.
see it,
Yep.
little painting.
Yep.
It quickly grabs a beer. It's got a little dimple in the end,
Yep.
and you just push it onto your quick connect,
Yep.
and it spits out beer out here, so you can actually get a sample, so you can do
Yeah.
one of these
Okay.
with it. Really quick,
Yep.
easy to use. I'm not gonna promote it as a
No,
link or
that's
anything like that, and
no, of course.
just give you an idea. These are
But that's
my
just a
two
bit of
favorite
kit that
things.
you would recommend for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it basically goes on a
Oh,
hose, and off
mate,
you go.
that's easy as it. Yeah. That saves having
That's
to bend
simple.
down into the fermenter and whatnot.
Yeah,
Wow.
yes. So I try to keep my channel unbiased.
Yeah.
Try to make sure that I will recommend products and items and extract kits and products. I don't know anything products
Yeah.
that work. I don't
Products
care
and
about the
equipment that, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. Well, I
that's
want to. So, no, you go ahead.
no, that's just what I do. I try to do it and try to keep the channel like that. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
go on.
I agree. I'm very similar. Um, Currently running a Black Rock series and also a Brick Road series of extracts for now until I'm brave enough to wander into the world of all grain. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree. I've run Coopers and I've had nothing but bad problems with
Yeah,
Cooper's extracts. Um,
don't like them.
even in date, I'm talking 2 years in date, sort of thing. They're just, mate. I will never use a Cooper's or a Thomas Cooper's series brew extract kit ever again.
Yep,
Um, yeah, I had nothing but trouble with them. So if anyone's going to go on extract kits, definitely recommend Black Rock
yep,
or Brick
I do
Road.
too. Yep,
Um, but definitely don't recommend Thomas Cooper's or Cooper's. If you don't know any better, that's different. But if you're watching this video and it's your first experience of, home brewing and you haven't put your brew down yet and you've got a Cooper's, I'd give it away to someone and then go and buy a Black Rock or a Brick Road. So,
yeah,
Pierre, I want to thank you very much for joining
no
me
worries at all.
on Interview with a Homebrewer, episode 2. Yeah, that's about a wrap, I reckon.
No worries
One
at all.
second, I'll just quickly click